With my SOI in the beginning, I took that 500 and I put them on a regular email drip campaign.
Was there an expectation sending out that list of what you might hear back or what?
Yeah, like what I might get out of it?
Yeah, like what? Like with just or was it just blanketing this amount of people and just more of a recognition to say, hey, I'm Tim, I'm a realtor, this is what I do. Hit me up.
So in the beginning with my SOI, I did a few different things. Like email was probably the backbone of my reaching out to them and letting them know that I'm in real estate. Like, here's what I focus on. Here's what I know. Here are the people I know. So that's really how I started in the beginning. Welcome to the podcast dedicated to real estate, insurance, and everything in between. Join us as we take you along our own brokerage building journeys with additional wisdom from our network of business experts. Welcome to Bricks and Risk. Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Bricks and Risk. I'm Tim Garrity.
And I'm Sean Mooney. And today's topic, Tim, how do we deal with screw-ups?
I like that.
Particularly the employee screw up, or let's call it mistake.
Okay.
Mistakes.
I think this is good for both of us because one, you have an employee.
Yep.
You also have an agent that works with you.
Yeah.
And then from my perspective, I have 2 employees and multiple agents that work for me. So let's first start off with the employee. I think this is a good one. I think this is going to relate to a lot of people. So when we're talking about an employee and screwing up, we chatted about this in a previous episode where I mentioned the quote from Shark Tank where Barbara Corcoran said, 80% is good enough. And I think with that quote, that's where you want to be. But you and I both know with employees, chances are your first one or even maybe your second one, you're not going to be in that 80% range.
Yeah.
And there will be screw ups. So with that being said, let's go over, I have an example. So this is the first time we hired our office administrator. And basically her job was to handle daily tasks, handle some transaction work, some organization, some bills, scheduling. We're doing some events, so she had something to do with that as well. And we had her for, I think, like a little less than a year. And unfortunately, after that period of time, we realized like it just wasn't a good fit. But that was due to multiple screw-ups. It wasn't just one. So I think one of the hardest things to do when you're hiring people is you don't expect them to screw up at all.
Wait a minute. You hire someone and don't expect them to screw up? I go the other way. I'm like, I know you're going to screw up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that perspective. So give me a little bit on that.
So I know that like, for your example, real estate, if this person has no prior experience working and their background is in real estate, they're going to screw up. They don't know what this transfer, this, that, the other. They don't know the language. They don't know the procedures. So my assumption is that they're going to screw up, right?
Right.
No?
I mean, yes, but I think it's like, are you glass half empty or glass half full? I'm always half full. Someone asked me if I want a beer. I got half a beer left. I'm like, nah, I'm good. Whereas sometimes you got half a beer and people are like, yo, get me another. I only got half left. So,
I'm from Philly. I'm the eternal pessimist forever. Yeah. It's half empty, always.
Well, I like all that. It's very helpful that we kind of segued. So let me get back to the example I was talking about with our first office administrator. And
1 year in, less than a year in.
Yeah. So this is like, let's call it 6 months in. And what wasn't really sticking was kind of some of like the templated things we did in our business. So like paperwork, organization, dotting I's, crossing T's. So it was really like, we want you to handle these things, but like we made it very specific. So I think we did it more in the form of like, almost like an employee handbook. Like here's how you do A, B, C, D, wrote it out, gave detailed instructions, click here, do this. And then even with all that, it wasn't going well to the point where what was the straw that broke the camel's back was really we weren't going to be in the office one day and she was supposed to be in. One of us ended up going into the office just to check on something and she didn't show.
Don't.
So that was like a massive.
So we're not okay. So
screw-up.
that's not a mistake.
I mean, it led us down the road of like, hey, how many times has this happened? Because we weren't in the office every day. Our jobs don't require us to be in the office every day. Most of my job is done on the street. I'm either out with clients, out with agents, networking with vendors or business contacts, and or working out of my home office. I'm super productive out of my home office.
Yeah.
So that was really what kind of led to that major screw up, in my opinion. That was really what it was, is more like a lack of trust. And then once that happened, we knew we needed to move on.
So accountability, not that they messed up. It was more of a performance based, more of, are we on the same page? And clearly they weren't.
Yeah, it was a lot of little things that led up to that. We were already like kind of unhappy with where things were going. But again, I always looked at that. It's like, you got to look at it from both sides. Like maybe we weren't training good enough, or maybe our delivery system of putting everything in text in a handbook isn't the method that worked for her. Like she wasn't absorbing it well that way. Maybe she needed more one-on-one time. Maybe she needed like video training. There was lots of like different things, but why don't you tell me a little bit about kind of like on your side,
And
the
I'll
employee
piggyback
side.
off of that because we've always tried to build that out for our employees or the people that we have working for us. Is how do you kind of make it bulletproof? I call it dummy proof.
Yeah.
Like how can a third grader figure this out? How can a third grader fill out this form or make this change with,
Good way to look at it.
And so the most recent one that we've done is we've done PDFs, we even done like Loom videos, because a lot of ours are like websites.
It's called Loon.
Loom,
Oh, Loom.
Loom.
I'm not familiar with that one.
So you're just video recording your screen. It's like a screensaver
Almost
video.
like webinar style kind
Yeah,
of training.
exactly.
Yep.
So what we'll do is, let's say you have a common occurrence. Like for us, it would be like a mortgage change on a homeowner's policy. So what we'll do is we'll go into a carrier and we will record one of us who knows how to do it, how to do that. And then
Are you
just
narrating while you're doing
Yeah.
it? Cool.
So go here, and it's like, your cursor's on the page, highlighted, so they can literally digest a 30-second video. So instead of coming to us or going to someone else, it's like, okay, look it up. Here's our Loom index library. So you look, okay, mortgage change, search, Bing right on the video, and they can watch 30-second, 1-minute video that's like an explainer video.
Yeah. Here's a question on that real quick. So with Loom, do you store everything on Loom, or do you kind of take that, download it, throw it in one central database with everything? Like, how do you do it?
Yeah, so we actually got off of Loom's one of the tools that we used. We actually went to Microsoft. Loom does have an ability to store that inside so you build a library of Looms.
Yep.
And I don't know how far you would need to take it when you build that library, if you could cut off at a certain amount or it allows you to go on forever. But the other one, because we're in this Microsoft ecosystem, it allows you to, I think it's called Microsoft Stream.
Okay.
So it does the same exact thing and then builds into your Microsoft ecosystem. So then those videos, and it's pretty cool too, because they're searchable inside of your.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you operate mostly off of Microsoft.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one tool that we've kind of implemented is, because we know that like it's hard to remember, okay, I did this 3 months ago. How do I do this? And,
Yep.
have that on your memory as to, oh, I know how to do this. It's a lot easier from my viewpoint for that employee, search it, watch the video, and boom, right there.
Nice.
So that's something that we've tried to incorporate to make it easier. And I think that's what it is trying to make it easier for the employee to do these different tasks
All right.
that we're asking for.
So let me interject. So you're 11 years in. Loom is something that you've learned over time is an efficient, probably inexpensive way to train people.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your screw ups.
Yeah.
Where were the employee screw ups that really got you to be like, hey, I kind of need a system where I can do it in this way, deliver it in this fashion, organize it, really succinctly, really efficiently. And you had to have built up to that. You don't just have an employee screw up when you start in your business and say, oh, I need Loom. So why don't you dive into that a little bit?
Well, I think during a period of time is we had virtual assistants and we had them working
you were a VA guy for a while.
Yeah. And so we didn't have the ability to just have that person come over to my desk. I think that was the impetus of me really trying to gear this thing towards having a library of certain requests that are common, like the most utilized, right? So you take your top 10, requests from your clients, and then you build out that way. And then you can always add in like, oh, this person needed this request or, and then you just add in.
So VAs were really your first experience of like, hey, like they're screwing up on really simple, easy things. And part of the problem is that we're not in the same room.
Right.
So VA, just so everyone knows, is virtual assistant that we talked about. And Sean had some in the beginning. You had a few, right?
Yeah. During a period of time, there was two.
Okay.
Two women that were doing the back office work. And so I think that was the reason, like, oh man, I gotta get something that's going to enable them to be more comfortable doing these types of changes. And then also doing them succinctly enough and making sure that they're done properly. I think that was what was driving me to, implement these videos.
Awesome.
And there's even a new one now that I haven't really gotten into, but I have looked at where there's, I don't know if it's AI, but something where it will watch your screen, capture your screen, you talk into it, and then it also sort of take screenshots. Yeah. So basically it'll run instead of doing the video, it'll just take screenshots of when you do these changes, like move mouse here.
Yeah.
And then as you're talking, it'll dictate, and then it'll take, it'll like print out the directions as you're speaking.
Wow.
And then it'll be a file format. And then basically, then you can store it. And then that person has the screen. So you could do video if you want to do video, or you just do like the screenshot with the narration in text.
Okay.
And it just kind of built, and then you just build it out.
Very cool. So I'll have to check out Loom.
Yeah.
I think Loom sounds
a good
interesting.
one. Yeah. Since you're not in Microsoft.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. We've seen a lot of different agents use it for a lot of different things, but it's one that's easy that you can just use, capture, and your face is like a bubble on the screen. So you're like talking.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it's got you like in the corner somewhere in the middle where they actually see your body language, your mannerisms, how pissed you are, how not pissed you are.
Why can't you get this right? This is the third Loom on this topic.
Jeez, how many Looms do I need?
Yeah.
Come on.
So again, another tool that I think might be helpful for some people out there. You should check it out. Very easy to use. And you can bring team members in.
Okay.
They can see it. They can edit it. You can put like special notes like at the 1 minute mark. And it's pretty good.
Hey everyone, this is Tim, your favorite Bricks and Risk co-host. But don't tell Sean. I hope you're enjoying this episode, and I'll get right back to it in a moment. Our audience grows through word of mouth, so if you would please take a moment of your time and give us a review on the platform you're on, that would be fantastic. Please also help spread the BNR word by sharing your favorite episode with a friend. We greatly appreciate your time and trust. Now, back to the show. So let's jump into another part of screw ups, because it's not just employees that we work with. Obviously, clients, they're,
not always perfect.
Nothing can touch them. So they don't do anything wrong.
Right.
It's all on us.
Right.
So when we look at it that way, which we have to as business owners, there's the employee, then there's also in both of our businesses, we have agents. So you have an insurance agent,
Yep.
like a junior agent.
Yep.
I have real estate agents, realtors. So let me dive into that a little bit. So with the agents, one of the biggest things I dealt with early on was please, please don't say the wrong thing. Please don't do the wrong thing. Because in real estate, when you're the broker of record, if an agent screws up, they're coming after you.
Yep.
Whether it be the client or the state or whatever, a complaint.
Yep.
Now, I will say in 9 years, we have had no dings against our record, which is fantastic. But there's definitely been like little things with agents where there's two ways to look at it from my position. There's we just got a cold lead through our website, through social media, through an email newsletter, like something like that. Like something just like came
Sure.
in, someone filled out a contact form.
Yeah.
Here's my need. And you give that person out. There's less of a concern with that. But then there's also within like the last couple of years, myself, Andrew, and Ryan have been practicing less as agents and giving away more of the clients that we have worked with because it's a better use of our agent's time than it is of our time.
Right.
Not to say that we can't help them or do a great job. Obviously, we can. And when I help one of those clients, all the commission stays with the company instead of a portion of it. But as you have said before, you have to learn how to build out your time properly. And building our time is also in sharing with leads and clients. So, I mean, I've had a few things. Probably the biggest one that sticks out to me, and this was from an agent where I didn't give the lead or it wasn't one of my clients, but the agent was working with someone. The transaction closed. And we're huge on our Google reviews, meaning like it's 5 stars or bust. That's what we focus on. You know, we're constantly talking about how important that is to our business. Once the deal closes, we follow up a number of times to say, would you please take a few moments to give us a Google review? Because again, that helps us grow. And we felt we provided a really good level of service. So with this agent working with this client, the client went on and gave us a really terrible review.
Yeah.
Like, it was like 2 stars.
Yeah.
And it was all about the agent that he worked with. And we're like, ah. So it's like, you can't fault the agent. One, the agent was kind of new, so they're learning. But the fact that this client of his went on to do that to us, like, do you know what I did? I basically said, I'm going to reach out and I'm going to talk to this person and figure out why he went online to do that instead of just calling or emailing or texting. So I called this client and said, hey.
Well, let me, do you have is it an automated system to get that review?
It is.
Yeah.
It's multiple touch points to say like, please do it, please.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So anyway, so I call this person, the client, and I say, hey, you know what? I appreciate you taking the time to review us, but the review was low. Can you tell me a little bit more besides what you said here as to why that service wasn't what you expected or what you wanted? And he went on to, 10, 15 minutes about how piss poor it was, unfortunately. And I said, all right, well, a couple things. One, I never heard from this agent. So if there's anything I could have done to help this agent because he's new, I would have helped along the way, but I didn't hear anything about your particular transaction.
Right.
So just know if I had heard something, I would have stepped in earlier.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that I didn't. And I said, the second thing I want to say is that if you look at our reviews, they're all good. Like we take a lot of pride in our reviews. So is there any way you would reconsider not having your review be public now that we've spoken and I'm addressing your concerns? And he actually said, I really appreciate you reaching out. And while the service wasn't what I wanted, he's like, I can tell that you care about your business. So I'll go ahead and take it down. And I was like, awesome. So after I got off the phone, I was like, man, like that was a really good feeling. Even though it was a screw up by one of our agents, which is going to happen, especially if you run a brokerage and you have a lot of agents, it's going to happen. So it felt really good, one, to have that conversation because that person really understood how much I cared about my business. So the screw up wasn't necessarily like for nothing, like it helped. And two, it also helped to know that like if you're truly serious about your business and how it looks, like online reviews are everything. I usually say they're almost like currency.
Yeah.
Because they're so important. It's like if we do anything, if we go to eat, get coffee, We want to go stay at a hotel, we want to travel, like you want to work with someone, you get new tires and auto shop, you're gonna Google and be like, reviews and just get a sense of like, okay, if there's 2 reviews and they have 3 stars, I might give you a little bit of a pass because you don't care about your
For a
reviews.
coffee.
But if you got 50 reviews and they're 3 stars, like I'm probably not going, unfortunately.
But this might be a topic for another day because I would love to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And go like deep. But number one, I would say that Google reviews, bad ones, aren't always a bad thing.
Okay. Let me hear that perspective.
Because, so let me put this. If you have 50 reviews and they're all 5 stars, don't you think some people are going to be like, well, who are they paying for those reviews? And how can you be a business running a business and have 50 5-star reviews? It's
This is the Mooney perspective.
Yeah, no, not my perspective. but there's some artificialness to having all good reviews. So that's number one is that people, I think when you get bad reviews, I think that actually lends more credibility to your good reviews.
That's not a bad point.
So I think by having both, someone might say, man, they got 50 reviews and 49 are 5-star. There's maybe some more trust with that. And then number 2 is, I got 3, but 2 is...
You got time, go over all 3.
2 being, it allows you, let's say that person didn't pick up or didn't respond or anything like that.
Yeah.
I think it's a great opportunity for you to reply in that review and have that agent reply back in the review.
Yeah. No, that's really valuable.
Hey, I'm a new agent. I realize that I could have delivered better for you and I could have done X, Y, and Z. And, I really appreciate the feedback because that's going to help me become a better agent.
Now you're really owning it.
Right.
And it's publicly visible that you're owning it.
Yeah.
I like that feedback.
And so people are going to see it when they're online and think like, oh, wow, you know what? Because people realize people make mistakes.
Right.
And for me, it's always not how the mistake was made, but what are the steps after the mistake?
To recognize it and to try and address it.
Yeah. And then number 3, when we do our review deep dive, inside your automated system, there should be a catch. And it's a pre-screen. So if someone did a 2, they're not dragging over to the review.
Wow. Oh, I dig that.
It's a pre-review because
we could talk about that for a while.
Because you're spitting them out. You're spitting. Hey, review. And then if you get in that dragnet, you get one that's like these guys are horrible.
Yep.
It's not going to take them over.
All right. So and I appreciate all that. It's really awesome feedback. Tell me about your agent right now. Has there been a screw up or screw ups that, again, I know you've been more of a one-man show in your 11 years. We have different businesses.
Yep.
Mine requires more boots on the ground. You can do more from an office.
Yep. So two, I'll go employee 2, and because there's one that's pretty timely that we've been dealing with, and one from the agent side. So on the employee side, it was recently done where someone made a mistake. And it was one of those ones where they reached out, tried to do a good thing, and then it just turned into something that was bad. And for me, I don't get upset typically when these things arise because
not too upset.
Yeah, I just think that they're going to happen. And I always think back like, oh, I remember when I was a year or 2 in the business and messing up left and right, So I don't know. That's how my mind works and kind of like how to deal with a situation like that. And so it's kind of, this particular one was from a degree of mess up or, how bad the mistake was. It wasn't too bad, but it made us look bad, And so I just kind of said, how did this happen? And then we kind of reviewed it. And the important thing for me is just taking ownership of it. Okay, the mistake was made. What are the steps to remedy this situation? And we talked through it, and I made them, deal with it. Like, this is your mistake.
Yep.
I have confidence in you that you're going to be able to handle this. And I want you to negotiate and figure out how to deal with this.
It's like a teaching moment.
Yeah. And it worked out. They dealt with it. They dealt with the customer. They got it fixed and made it right. And so that was one that was recent for us, for them. And then on the agent side, it's kind of a learning curve, I would say, because the way that we run our brokerage is a little different than what this person dealt with previously. And for us, it's, you know, talking to an underwriter, checking like what fits different appetites and stuff like that. And steps were missed. And we had a client sign up and they do an inspection after the everything gets processed. And then it didn't fit our guidelines. So we literally had to like cancel the insurance right after we signed them up. And it looked bad. It looked bad for us. It made us look, me look bad, the agency look bad, the agent that was working on this. And I kind of did the same thing as to like, all right, well, how did this happen? And kind of went through step by step in terms of beginning, middle, and kind of how it panned out in the end. I made sure that the agent was communicating, with the client because it was something that could have been fixed, but they didn't know up front and, felt like they were led down this path of,
Yeah. All right. So now that I've shared some of my war stories, and you have too, let's talk about the last bullet, which is really trusting in others to scale. So you and I both know if we tried to do everything on our own, you're just not going to go anywhere.
Yep.
There is an actual ceiling to how much you can do without either completely burning out, going insane, just not getting a return on your time anymore. And I think when we deal with team members that screw up, it also teaches us, not only does it help set our expectation for the next person, but it also teaches us that like things are going to happen, but you need this person or these people to grow.
Yeah.
So for me personally, like knowing that our first office administrator was not ideal, that mistakes were made and big mistakes, trust issues, it allowed us to take it to the next stage, which was our next office administrator. We made more things clear up front about, how often to be in the office. Like, how do you like to learn?
You have to show up when we expect you to be.
You should be here for work. How do you like to learn? Like we started incorporating like weekly meetings. So you get better.
It's a learning curve for sure.
It is. And, another great saying that I love is that, you have to fail in order to succeed. So the screw ups of your team members, whether they be employees, agents, or both, are going to help you succeed. They're going to help you get better. They're going to help you see who's a better fit. What's a better delivery method for teaching? How do I keep my eye on the ball better this time than last time? So is there anything you want to add to that?
I always say you learn more from mistakes.
Yeah.
And it doesn't sound right. But what I can tell you is, giving that example with the agent that we worked with, he's never going to make that mistake again.
Agreed.
And I think that very valuable learning objectives come from mistakes and mess ups. And I think that as long as you're dealing with them the right way, because they're always going to happen.
Yeah.
Different mistakes, different people. But I know is that your name, that your name is on the sign, right? So like you're always going to be the one that's ultimately responsible. Mm-hmm. And you take pride in that. And that's why you are, you want those Google reviews. You want people to know that you do take pride in your business. And so I think as long as people are learning from their mistakes and you're helping kind of coach through that, sometimes those incidents can be, good for your company.
Yeah.
In terms of growing.
I would agree, man.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to end on that one, everyone. So thank you for tuning in to another episode of Bricks and Risk. Take care. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Bricks and Risk. Our goal is that you walk away with 1 or 2 valuable nuggets, and we greatly appreciate you sharing your time with us today. You can find all BNR episodes on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, and anywhere else you get your podcast content. Until next time, keep learning and keep growing.